Hey Diversity Champions, it's Roslyn here from Diversity Inclusion, and today we're going to talk about some online classroom etiquette. Now I know that many of us have done a lot of Zoom, maybe we've done Zoom classes, Zoom meetings, Zooming our friends, or used another platform that uses video conferencing. But I will say, as someone who works with students, and I'm not going to say I'm an expert by any means, but I've had a lot of experience, and there's some things that I wish I would have been able to share with people ahead of time that would be helpful when you're going into your meetings and or your classrooms. So with that being said, I want to get into some tips because there has definitely been some meetings that would have really benefited from the tips that I'm about to tell y'all today. So let's get into it. Tip number one is getting set up. So getting set up means, finding a suitable workspace. If possible, if you're at home with your family or your apartment in your residential community, outside, just any space that you're going to be pretty constant, you're going to want to try to find an area where you can go and do your classes. Sometimes that's a desk, your favorite chair. Maybe you'd like to sit on the steps, be in your bed, sit at the kitchen table, just any place that helps limit just the noises, the people, the pets, just any random commotion that could possibly happen in the background. But if you can't do that, you can also do things like have a virtual background. A virtual background can just help limit just whatever is going on. And if your room is messy, I know that sometimes happens, you can use a virtual background to kind of cover that up. Make sure that it's appropriate though. I like to use MSUs. Also, you can use headphones. If you know that there is a kid or somebody running around and you cannot control that, get your headphones on, make sure it has a mic, and it's totally fine. Next, you're going to want to test your tech. Testing your tech is super important because who's given a presentation and then the computer just doesn't work, right? So just like with the Zoom link, sometimes maybe you don't have the right Zoom link or you're missing something. Whenever your professors or advisors reach out to you and give you a Zoom link, test it, just see if it works. And if it works, now you know that, okay, you got the right one. Sometimes they require a password, so now you can make sure you get the password all set up. And so check to see if your application needs to be updated. I've definitely been in a meeting where I was late because I did not realize that my Zoom needed to be updated. So definitely you just want to get those things figured out ahead of time. And lastly, another just good practice tip when getting set up and then you're getting ready to get into class is to mute your mic, right? You got your space, you got your virtual background, everything's all set up in terms of that. You know where you're going to be for the next hour or two. Then just mute your mic, especially if you can't control what's going on. It helps to, limit distractions, helps with not interrupting whoever's speaking. And then when it's time for you to speak, you can always unmute your mic. If you feel like you want to be able to contribute, you can always put it in the chat box. Tip number 2 is be professional. So what being professional means in an online class environment is you want to still be on time. Although you're not physically walking to class anymore or physically going to meetings, you still have a designated time that you have to show up and be present. So be on time for that. Don't show up 5-10 minutes late into class. It's definitely a lot more noticeable now that we're going to be online versus, in person, but try to log on earlier. Next, you're going to want to wear clothes. Now, I know that sounds crazy to say, but trust me, as somebody who works with students, especially students who are now just waking up at any kind of time of the day, and sometimes the first time of the day that they wake up is meeting with me, make sure you have on some clothes. We don't want to, wear a shirt, wear pants, don't lounge in your bed when you're in class because it's super noticeable. But yes, and so just wear clothes. It is not optional. Dress appropriately, right? Don't, if you're in your pajamas, you maybe want to change into your regular everyday clothes. Make sure that, you're just not in your undergarments. Just please wear clothes. Please dress appropriately. I know you're at home and I know it's real comfy to just stay in your pajamas all day, but what happens if you stand up and then somebody sees that you don't got your pants on? That could be embarrassing if you completely forget to shut your camera off. Plus, I don't want to see all that, so please wear clothes. Y'all, please wear clothes. Position your camera appropriately. When you're in that class, like I said before with the bed, if you're laying in your bed, I don't want to see you in your bed. I don't want to see nobody laying to the side, laying down. Position your camera appropriately because some angles are not, the best angles. Maybe if your camera's too far down and you don't have on pants, we don't want to see that. It's you're going to want to keep it kind of chest up so you can see your head, you can see your face, and that's usually a good position to keep it. Whether you're on your phone or on your laptop, just make sure that you have a good position. and that you're making eye contact with the camera. And last, follow the rules in the classroom guidelines. Although we're in a virtual setting and technically you're at home or wherever you're at in your own personal space and you're not physically in the class, the same rules still apply, right? If it's in the syllabus, if your professors ask you to do a certain thing, just respect that and just follow it. So tip number 3, come prepared and ready to engage. So read your syllabuses, do your assignments, figure out when your due dates are. Those things are still the same as before. That doesn't change. So you know, if you're gonna be in your classes online, you'll still have to make sure everything is done, and you're gonna get questioned or have to respond to answers that talk about the different things that you've already learned. So just ahead of the time, just get it done, know what's going on, and just stay on top of things. That'll keep you feeling like you're still in a normal schedule. Also, you know, participate in class. When you are in class and engaging, and now that you're at home, sometimes engaging can be a little harder just because you're not physically in the moment. But if you ask questions, you participate, give your input, those things can help you stay alert and pay attention. So there's things like the chat feature. You can put your questions in the chat feature. You can put your statements in there, but remember to use the chat feature responsibly. Tip number 4, limit your distractions. Now earlier we talked about, you know, some of your environmental distractions, but now we're gonna talk more about some of your personal distractions. Like when you go to class, maybe you need to close your web browsers, because when you start going on to the web or you're just on your phone doing things, one, that's noticeable because you can tell when somebody's looking at the camera, and when you can tell when somebody's not looking at the camera or looking down at their phones. You're gonna wanna, you know, just maybe close some of those distractions. What happens if your professor asks you a question and you just completely zoned out and you have no idea what happened? So consider things like, you know, don't go on the web or don't send those emails. Shut those off, pay attention to your class. Don't use your phone, or just like shut your phone off, or at least mute it so that it's not as distracting. Obviously, I know some people need to keep their phones around just because you never know when an important call is coming in or somebody needs to get in contact with you, but try to limit your use, because one, it's distracting to the people on the screen, and 2, you're not paying attention. And the last tip, tip number 5, be open and be patient. For many of us, this is the first time that we've used Zoom, and for others, we've only had some small experiences with it. Everybody's learning this together. Some professors, you know, usually teach in class and they're learning how to do this online for the first time. Everybody is going through a learning curve. So just be open, be patient, just embrace this new way of learning and allow time to adapt. You know, maybe at the end of the semester, the end of the school year, or halfway through, you're gonna become more proficient and know how to do things. And then also understand, maybe you are proficient and you understand how to use it, but this is also new for other people. This can be new for your professors, your friends, your peers, other staff on campus. This can be a new experience. So while you're having a learning curve, everybody learns at a different pace. Everybody understands technology at a different pace. So just remember that they're also learning, and so don't get too frustrated with them. Just remember to try your best. With those 5 tips that we learned today of getting set up, being professional, coming prepared and being ready to engage, limit your distractions, and being open and patient, that you'll be able to start the school year off right with a better understanding on how to be the best online student that you can be. Thank you, and see you next time.